welcome to What's Your Next Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here. I do
I
know we both have been trying to do this for a while.
We have so our listeners, we tried to do this last year when I was reading all Darci Hannah's books, and I was like, I'm like, get after her. And unfortunately, there was a hurricane and life, and then we're just trying it again this year. And I am so excited because we got, as I was telling her, I discovered that she has a third series because I've been reading all her series, and I was like, we need to talk about this. So we've been talking before we got started, and I was like, hey, actually, we need to record this. So Darcy,
Oh, I'm
tell us a little bit about yourself.
uh, I live in a small town in Michigan. I consider myself a mom first. So a lot of times like I'll talk about things, but it's usually about my kid. I write mystery novels. I started out writing historical fiction when my kids were little. I think I started writing because I loved reading. I read everything. And then one day I was pregnant with my third, didn't know it was a boy at the time. And one day, as a young mother, you don't get much sleep. And so I would just getting 5 hours of sleep a night. And one day I was like, hey, why don't I write a novel? And that's how like stupidly it started. I had no background in writing novels. My background is in many other things. But I decided to stay home, raise the kids, and then just kind of work on novels. And at the time, I loved historical fiction. So that's when I started writing. I wrote this giant sweeping 18th century epic that was 1,000 pages. And when I tried to sell it, I learned that 1,000 pages is just too big.
Yeah.
Oh. So like all along, I feel like I just stumble through the career that I'm in, which is kind of fun for me. So I ended up writing something smaller in the historical vein. And that I was lucky enough to get that published and another historical. And then once that kind of dried up for me, it was funny that just kind of, I didn't sell enough, I don't think. And so the agent I had at the time then said, hey, just write a mystery novel. You'd be good at that. I had no idea why she thought I'd be good at writing a mystery novel, but I took her advice. And that's when I started writing cozy mysteries. And I didn't even know they were cozy until I started writing. So eventually I wrote the first book in my Cherry series, Cherry Pies and Deadly Lies. And it was just kind of a fun, spoofy series set in the most charming place in the Midwest that I know of. It's called Door County, Wisconsin. So that whole little area is just gorgeous. And I kind of make fun of my own family in a fictional way. And just kind of got inspired by my nieces and all that. And so they were in advertising. So I thought I'll make my fictional character in advertising and just to run a really stupid ad that gets aired during the Super Bowl that should have never gotten it. So it just kind of tumbles on and she ends up going back to the cherry orchard in Door County, Wisconsin because there's a murder. So I was lucky enough to write that book and sell that book and have some success. And that kind of launched my career, kind of moving forward in the cozy mystery space. And I tell you, I learned something almost every day about cozy mysteries. Like they're evolving, but I am so happy to be writing cozy mysteries because they're fun. I think they bring people out of, they're gentle enough that anybody can read them. There's nothing in there that's going to be too scary or too sexual or too bad language. And I just had a lot of fun writing them. So I feel very blessed to be doing that. But yeah, and I live in Michigan and I walk my dogs every day. So I take pictures of them a lot because they're with me so much.
So do you live by a haunted lighthouse by any chance?
Well, I wish I did. I don't. We don't have any lighthouses in my town. So Door County, where I first wrote that book, and I was explaining to Laura, I had gotten 2 books into the series of the Cherry series, and then I got the publisher on its mystery division. I didn't get that 3rd series, and I really wanted to write a haunted lighthouse because there's a lot of lighthouses in Door County and I spent a lot of time in them. I was originally from Illinois, Northern Illinois, moved to Michigan 20 years ago. So I was living in Michigan when I was writing about Wisconsin, but I realized we have so many lighthouses here. And every time I go to one, I always ask I always think, who's still here? Who's still at the lighthouse? And they're like, nobody. And then they tell me the ghost story. Every lighthouse has a story. Even if they claim it's not haunted, they still have some good stories. So when I went to write the Beacon Bakeshop, that ghost, Captain Willie Riggs, is a combination of some of my favorite haunted stories about Michigan lighthouses. And I wish I had written down the exact lighthouses that these occur, but there really is the ghost lights that appear. And I think it's a lighthouse in the UP that doesn't have a light in it, but and it's on an island, I think. I can't remember which one it is because there's so many. but they will see this eerie green light. And so I thought, that is cool. And then I remember this one other one talking about the keeper, the first keeper, who you still can be seen walking up and down the shoreline at night carrying his lantern. And I thought that is just a great image. So kind of combining maybe that presence that's still on duty. I think a lot of places that came to be haunted usually have a real person that had lived there that had a sense of purpose or a job or maybe something a little bit traumatic that kept them on the job. And so I like to think about that. So if I don't have any nearby, but they are 2 hours away.
It is so good. So we're doing a Beacon Bakeshop.
Yes,
Beacon
we're at
Bakeshop
the
is-
big, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the Beacon Bakeshop series. That's the second series that you had. And it's
Mhm.
basically sad. Wall Street wants to leave a New York terrible relationship, buys a bake shop and a lighthouse sight on sea. you know?
Yeah. Well,
And
that is funny because when I was trying to come up, so I'm in that transition between the Cherry series,
yeah.
which I loved writing. And I was like, how am I going to write another series? And I really didn't know because I was like, I really love the series I was writing because it was a little more personal. And so
Yeah.
as I was thinking about the lighthouse, I knew I wanted a lighthouse. My husband would be on his computer. He'd be like, hey, come here. And he never tells me what he wants. He always just makes me get up and walk over to him. And I said, what are you doing? And he goes, look, do you want to buy a lighthouse? So in Michigan, on the internet, we do have lighthouses that you can buy. And you don't really go to see them. And a lot of them need a lot of work. And so when he was doing this, I'm like, oh my gosh, what if somebody just bought a lighthouse? And that, yeah, and that's how that all came about. It was my husband, like, let's buy a lighthouse. You want to live in a lighthouse? Like, not really.
Well, you know what it reminds me of? I think about Diane Keaton's older movies, Baby Boom, where she sees the Vermont housing on a snapshot of the New York Times and she buys it. And she's like,
Yes.
I love that movie. That movie is like formative. Like
Oh my
Wall Street, New York, the corporate
Yes.
and has a baby and decides she just sees this random place in Vermont in the newspaper.
It's so, yeah, it looks so quintessential. And there's something about, we've all made those like ridiculous purchases.
Yeah.
Usually it's a dog, like you don't need another puppy, but you're like, oh my God. And that was the other purchase that she made was a giant Newfoundland for a New York City living because they're so cute when they're puppies.
They're so
And then they
cute.
grow.
I had a friend in New York City who had a Newfie.
God bless her.
The
God
whole
bless
apartment and the whole. This is not like in Michigan where you have a place to run around. No,
Right.
New York City.
That is awesome. That because I have seen people in New York City like walking giant Great Danes.
Yes. And we actually.
And I feel like dog walking is a big, like they have walkers and they'll have people.
Okay. So I spent a pandemic in Chicago at the Lakeview area for about a year.
Oh, I love Chicago.
Out of New York City. And so, and then next door, there was a Great Dane whose owner did not clean their poop. And it would be on this thing because it's like a mountain. It's not like a
yes.
And so and next door would be like, again, the guy, the poop, like looking the poop watch, who's going to clean it, do it. I was like, who has a Great Dane in this very city?
Right.
Living Lakeview. It's all high rises, brownstones. Like there's no space.
I know. And you know what? It's like, I'm such a dog lover. And they say, I don't know, dogs can live kind of anywhere, but I would think you'd want something smaller and more maneuverable because of that reason. They need a lot of space.
Yes.
We used to have a Newfoundland years ago. And I mean, that thing ate. And yeah, they're such good dogs, but they need space or at least get them out a lot. And I always, like when I walk, I have this fanny pack. I look like ridiculous. I also sometimes I think talk to myself because I'm working in storylines. So I chew gum. So I look like I don't look great when I'm out walking my dogs. But in that fanny pack, my kids are like, why are you wearing a fanny pack? Why don't you sling it over your shoulder? It's got all my dog poop bags and my treats and all that stuff, everything I need. So I'm one of those who I obsessively pick up whenever they leave, whenever they do.
So
because that's just what you do.
Yeah. So Lindsay buys the lighthouse and decides to open up a bake shop, and it's a haunted bake shop, and she has to solve murders. And what's her friend and a host of people and a really cute Irish next door neighbor.
Yes, Lori Campbell.
So we have
it does help. Yeah, it does help to have a really, because I live in Michigan. It's so funny because there's such a hunting woodsy culture here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so my husband will joke. So he's in November. I forgot what day it is when it's hunting season opens. Nobody's at work. Everybody leaves work. downward because everybody goes north and does this. And so they're all like, I picture these just really outdoorsy men. And so I thought, well, if Lindsay, the city girl, is going to come into the most beautiful part of Michigan, she's going to have a really attractive neighbor, but he's going to be a little outdoorsy. Push her
Yes.
out of her comfort zone a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yes. Get out of your comfort zone. You're not in city life anymore. You're not in New York anymore.
And it's so, yeah, it's so fun to do that to Lindsay and her friend. Lindsay's a good sport, but her friend Kennedy is the one that I have the most fun with because some people just hate her. And she is who she is. She loves her friend,
Yeah.
but she definitely is an indoor girl or a fancy girl. And it's just fun because I'm not a fancy girl.
Yeah. So talk to us about the book that's coming up next year. Is it next year?
You mean the other Beacon
Lemonberry-
Bakeshop?
The big
Yeah, so we have Lemonberry tea is out now. Oh, I'll show
Oh,
you.
Lemonberry's out.
Okay.
Now. Okay, sorry. I read Lemonberry.
Lemonberry.
Wait.
And Welly is under the, oh gosh, she's so
Yeah,
cute.
Lemonberry is the one that set up the Food and Spirits, right?
No, the one that set up Food and Spirits, I think, was the Murder at the Pumpkin pageant. My Halloween, because Brett
Yes,
Bloom
I
from,
read them out of order. That's probably why. Because I was like,
Oh.
I read Lemonberry, and then I just read back. I was like, okay, let's talk about Lemonberry first, and then talk about the pumpkin patch. And then
okay. And then the one that's coming, which I don't
Yes.
yet. So the Murder at the Lemonberry tea is so much fun because this is the 6th book in the series. By
Yeah.
now, the girls are, Lindsay got her bake shop going great. And her friend Kennedy is a PR person. She had a podcast. She's just kind of stirs the pot for Lindsay, but she really wants Lindsay to be successful. She wants to bring all this stuff into the Beacon Bakeshop, this little town in Michigan. She hooks Lindsay up with this British lifestyle kind of diva, Vivi Lemonberry. And Vivi Lemonberry was the hottest thing in the UK, but she had a troubled past. She did some stuff and she's trying to make a comeback career. And she's got a new book out called Nibbles from Across the Pond. So she wants to start relaunching her career in America, where she feels like the public will be a little nicer to her. So, of course, Kennedy swoops in, and the first place she's going to go to is the Beacon Bakeshop in Beacon Harbor, Michigan. So Lindsay's like very excited about it because she gets to bake with this famous woman who she doesn't really know much about Vivi Lemonberry, but she does know that her specialty is the Bakewell tart. So that's after Lindsay's last name is Bakewell. So she thought, how fun would that be to do? They were doing a live cooking segment and then this fancy tea. Everybody wants in. And Kennedy, the females of her family all descend on the Lighthouse from the UK. They all travel to America and they're staying with Lindsay. So Lindsay's boyfriend is, I'm not coming anywhere near the Lighthouse because there's just way too much estrogen right now. Is he and Kennedy have a love, like a brother-sister love-hate relationship? All these women are descending to grandma, Kennedy's mother, and Kennedy's younger sister, who's a little sassy. And then they've got Vivi Lemonberry coming. And Vivi comes and she swoops into town. And all I can say is she just brings the drama with her. She's got her film crew. She's very beautiful and alluring. Lindsay really likes her. She doesn't know about her checkered past. She starts learning about her checkered past and just has affairs with people and dating A-list actors and doing all these naughty things and stealing recipes. So anyhow, and that kind of sets up the story. So they're having this just giant, larger than life person come into town. And she, as the adventure goes, Lindsay realizes that she's got some issues and she's a little naughty. And so then they're hosting the tea, this beautiful tea in her honor where she's going to be signing her books. And Vivi just doesn't show up for it. It kind of launches a murder mystery from there. It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. I was like, I remember because it had Kennedy's family and it was like a tatted little touch of British, like just
Yes.
family and just the whole town coming together. And the murder is fun. It's really-
Thank you.
I love the murder. I love the solving.
I like puzzle of it. For me too, one of the things I always make fun of, like what I do is plotting murders. And you're like, I am the type of person like, why would somebody want to murder somebody? And that takes a big leap of my imagination. But I always want it to be like some interesting reason, not just blackmail.
And so then we go to Pumpkin. That's right, because I read Pumpkin Patch after that. And Pumpkin Patch has a ghost hunting aspect because you're trying to
Yes.
ghost spirit of the lighthouse.
Right.
And there's actually a treasure hunt, and the ghost hunting goes wrong. It really comes up.
That was such a fun one too, because I was trying to think of what would my vision of Halloween in Beacon Harbor look like. It was a little town, this beautiful little town, and everybody's very close. And so I like to involve a lot of the town with it. So I thought it'd be fun to reach into my Cherry series and actually introduce Whitney Bloom's brother, Brett Bloom, who is this like iconic iconic ghost hunter. So he's part of this thing called the Ghost Guys. And they're kind of ridiculous. But Kennedy has this cast called Kennedy's Crusade. And so she ropes Lindsay once again into hosting a live ghost hunt at the Lighthouse. And Lindsay and her ghost have a very nice relationship. It's very respectful. He stays in the Lighthouse, really his domain. And she goes up there a lot. That's like their favorite place to hang out because it's just spectacular and gorgeous. And so when it's his time to take over, they leave and stuff. And so she likes that relationship. She doesn't want to stir it up. But Kennedy does not like Captain Willie Riggs at all. Scares the living daylights out of her. So she hires this team. So on Halloween night, I think it's Halloween night, they do this ghost hunt. Yeah, I can't remember if it was like before Halloween or during Halloween. And before then, Kennedy, they're doing a lot of events at the Lighthouse. They're having a group of kids in, carving pumpkins and doing all kinds of fun apple cider donating things and just really fun pumpkin Halloween events. And
Yeah.
Lindsay's mother and I just loved giving her a mom like this. She's an aging 80s supermodel.
Yes, I love that. I love it because she has a take of an 80s aging supermodel.
Yeah,
Makes you
she's
look
like a
the world.
beautiful woman, but like her daughter's bakes baked goods, and she like
Yes.
all her life didn't eat carbs, and now her daughter has this thing, so she's got to eat these carbs, and then she comes up with this line of women's clothing with expandable waistbands, but are still fashionable. And then she has two ridiculous little dogs that she loves, named after her supermodel rivals. She likes to dress them in matching clothing. And so she ends up opening this boutique, and they're the ones that host this pumpkin pageant, like doing contest in the town. So there's just a lot of fun going on. But then during the ghost hunt, and this is part of why Brett Bloom appears in Food and Spirits, is because they're doing the ghost hunt. They actually go up into the light tower, and unbeknownst to them, a murder happens. And whenever a murder happens in Beacon Harbor, the ghost lights appear, and the ghost lights go on while the team is up in that lighthouse, and it freaks them out. They all go running, but it's Kennedy with the live feed camera. She goes running out of the lighthouse, out of her mind, and then crashes in to this thing, this dummy hanging in the tree that the kids keep pranking the lighthouse with this dummy in the tree. And it turns out that it's not a dummy, it's a woman from the town.
Yeah.
So she catches a murder on live stream. And it's not a good thing.
Oh, they get canceled. So we got spirits. We have to go to a different network. We can actually do something different.
Yeah, so the ghost guys lose their job.
They lost their job. And so now we are from network ghost hunting. Really friendly ghosts, because we're going to have dinner. We're not going to hunt that. We're going to have dinner with the ghost.
I know, it's so funny because what I do is like, I'm not the type of person who would ever go into haunted house and stir up trouble, right? To me, it's always like more spiritual, being visited or getting signs, or I've seen things, and it's always fascinates me. It's like, what is it? But nothing, I don't like the evil or I can't say it today, malevolent people.
Yes.
And scary and evil. So that is funny because they lose their job. I really wanted to write another Cherry series. If I do, it's like on my own time because Kensington doesn't, it's kind of owned by me, but I would have loved to have Brett Bloom go back to the Cherry Orchard, like without a job. I still might write something in that vein, but I just thought, and then there's another character from the Cherry series, Gifford McGrady.
Yes.
Who was, he's just a hoot. Yeah, he's just a hoot. He spends too much time at the Cherry Orchard and not in Chicago doing his advertising job. And so he ends up getting fired too. So the backstory is that Brett loses his job. Brett Bloom loses his Ghost Guy's job because they caught a body on camera and filmed it live. And then Gifford McGrady lost his job. And so they're both moping around the Cherry Orchard and Cherry Orchard Inn, bugging Whitney, and she's just do something else. And she gives him the idea of a food baiting ghost hunting show. So then we have the Food and Spirits mystery series, which is based on that premise. So we have two characters from the Cherry series, but Brett has appeared in Beacon Harbor too. And that was so much fun because in my mind, they're all, why reinvent the wheel? I already have one. I can just pluck this person from here and go there. So anyhow, it all kind of fell together in a failed piece at Bramsford Manor. I introduced Brett Bloom, Gifford McGrady, and then a new character because they wanted me to tell it from a female perspective.
Yeah.
So the foodie is Bridget
But
Bunny McBride. Yeah, Bunny. And Bunny has like a long history with bunnies and rabbits, which is super funny. And what the idea came from me because when I was little, I had a pet rabbit, pet bunny. It was a white rabbit. And there's something traumatic that happens to her rabbit when she's young. She was like 5 years old. She has this bunny. They live in a farm. They have all these other animals, but she wanted this rabbit. And that happened to my rabbit. So it was like my childhood trauma. And so I give that to Bunny. And then as you meet her and you go through her story, you realize that there's a lot going on in Bunny's
yeah.
life. But she ends up, so she is funny. She's such a fun character because they make her Scottish by nature. She came to America at a very young age. So she's very talented with food. And she was working her way up in the rest of New York City, got discovered by Mary Stobart of Mary's Memorable Meals. And in my mind, Mary is kind of a little bit like maybe a Martha Stewart,
I was
like an
gonna say.
aging, yeah, like an aging foodie who's done everything. And she gives her this assignment to do a really spooky Halloween themed cupcakes and whatever. And she gets a little pushback from Bunny because Bunny's, let's do fun. That's spooky. Don't want to scare the children because she just doesn't like spooky. And anyhow, she gets offered her own travel cooking show called Food and Spirits. And she gets to she's the food part of the Food and Spirits. And she's so excited. And in her mind, she's going to be traveling the world and meeting gorgeous men and making food. And just in her mind, it's going to be this great thing. And so she goes to her production meeting and thinking she's going to meet the person who's going to be in charge of the mixology or the spirits. And she
Yeah.
realizes she got teamed up with Brett Bloom and his boys, the ghost boys, the ghost.
It's actually literal spirits, not.
It's like, what ghost? No, it's not a ghost show. It's not a ghost show. And so that's kind of the premise of it. And it's just a lot of fun because she does not like ghosts, doesn't like spooky, doesn't want to go back to the UK. And of course, they take her back to the UK to a very haunted manor. She has the most haunted bedroom in the manor. And she realizes as it goes on that she has some gifts and she's been kind of running from these most of her adult life.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun to do it. The second book, Spirited Separate Dune Castle, comes out in end of January for a February release. And I am so excited about that one because I used to write Scottish historical fiction and I get to kind of bring it back to Scotland and we get to introduce a little bit of Bunny's family. And then she is investigating with the boys. She's not excited about it, but she's kind of resigned to the fact that she's doing this thing. Also, Brett Bloom's cute. So that's a little perk. But they're investigating the legend of the haunted piper during a bagpipe competition. So it's a lot of fun and a lot of folklore, a lot of Scottish folklore is mixed in. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I love the first book because it's one of those that she literally goes to jail. Bunny goes to jail on the first.
Yeah, yeah.
It's, oh no, she's going. You had the photo about that.
Well, they don't know much about her. The guys don't know. And she like just goes right to this thing and finds a body.
Yeah, I love the other ones. Like, wait, truly hear the murder? No, it doesn't make sense. It's like a great setup because it's three strangers. Well, two are friendly, but they're kind of like strangers at the same time.
Yeah.
They're friends with the sister, but they're all three strangers trying to put themselves in this like building a relationship that they don't want to get canceled. And then they have history of murders that they don't want to cancel. And so it's like this incredible setup for a cozy mystery, but still it's a little bit like a touch more millennial mystery because
yes, it's like a friends. It's three friends or three like people trying to do this thing together. Different personalities. Like my favorite is like Gifford McGrady because in the Cherry series, he's just kind of outrageous. He's funny. He was a little bit like my brother, was kind of that kind of wild, outrageous person. And just always had a jingle. Like we would do, he would remember everything from our childhood, like every crazy scene in a movie. And you'd be doing something and all of a sudden he'd just come out with a jingle and you're like, damn it. It's like appropriately. So Gifford McGrady has a knack for jingles and he has no special talents, but he's a very good dresser. And he decides that he's going to be the medium on the show because the show actually needed a medium. And he's like, I got it. I can become a medium. And so he has created the social media buzz around himself as the fashion icon of the medium world. So he worked on this backstory, but you realize he has no talent. He's just faking it. And it's just a lot of fun because he's a bad actor, but it's,
this is probably online that I've been watching Sylvia Brown's she was the medium who go to Montel stop and it's just terrible. But she was like, it's so it reminds me of her.
Oh, yes.
they're like, I want to know what happened to the people over. And they're like, oh, this person lived there. And she's, oh, and the house is like 10 years old. And she's like, the land, honey, the land. It's a land. And so it's like, I can see Gifford being in that same talk show, being asked, like,
And there's
person,
some in
he
the background.
died. But
No,
yes,
I
like,
love,
I'll include the
yes.
clip because it's money, the land. It's the land.
I don't mean the house. I know it was just built then. No, that is like the best thing. My brother would have me watch these like ghost hunting shows, and one of them I think was called Kindred Spirits. And there's this he was this guy named Chip Coffee, and he would always wear an ascot, and he was a
Yeah.
medium. He'd walk in, and he would just be like, oh, and just like the reactions are like the best. You know what I mean? Because you don't know if he has any talent or not, but it's just. There's a child over here staring at me, and you're like, we don't know. Is it true or not? It's the best. But you're right. The mediums are like, your favorite color is blue, red, no, purple. Just keep guessing until you get the right one.
Yeah.
It is super funny. So Gifford believes firmly that it's all chicanery. And
Yes.
Bonnie kind of knows a little differently. And Brett's just along for the ghost tech. He just wants to hunt these things. Like he's just all in on ghost tech. And so
Yeah.
it's how their three personalities are very fun. So that first one, that's the scene.
That is such a season. We got a new book coming out next year. So it's
Yes.
good. So Darci,
Thank you.
talk to us about some book recommendations. Like,
Yes. Okay. So I love kind of like, I see, since I started in historical, I have some historical fiction, but I just started reading a lot more Agatha Christie because not like writing cozy mysteries with intent. I thought, why don't I just start reading some of these? 'Cause I do love cozy mysteries. I used to always read everything by MC Beaton, and I highly recommend her. Do you know
right.
her?
So actually,
Oh.
I'm gonna get started.
The Quiche of Death, Agatha Raisin and the Quiche of Death. She's just so it's a Cotswold settings, which is again one of the most charming little places in England. And then she has another character, Hamish Macbeth, who is a little pokey, laid back, small town policeman. And so he just kind of wants a peaceful little village, and murder happens. And so his personality is totally different. Both of those series are wonderful. She, I think, passed away around 2000 or maybe a little bit after that. And she's got somebody else writing this series for her. And so I kind of like the original Hamish Macbeth. I think his name is something Green, but I think he's doing a pretty good job with the Agatha Raisin ones. The old ones that she wrote just bring you classic, cozy. I just read The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, which is one of Agatha Christie's most famous ones because of how the murder takes place. I loved reading it and just watching that develop and just how smart those are. They're really from a different time. I love everything by Krista Davis. She writes I just am charmed by her domestic diva series.
Yes.
I just think
If you like Martha,
yes,
the
I know.
domestic diva is the
My
way to
mother,
go.
well, she'll write about China patterns. I'm like, dang it. That's her. Because my mother collected China. So I know like what she's talking about. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think my mom had that. Just, you know what I mean? So she has just that entertaining spirit. I do love food and I do love all that stuff too. If you like historical fiction, I'm going to go back to old school, but there's a woman, Dorothy Dunnett, a Scottish historical fiction author who I think is like probably one of the best historical fiction authors I've ever read. For her incredible detail of the age. It's just incredible. So she's wonderful. I do love 18th century Age of Sail, Patrick O'Brien. I don't know if you've ever read him because he's more of a guy writer, but it's an incredible detail about that historic period. They kind of relate him as the male version of Jane Austen. Like he liked Jane Austen. So his writing style, it's about two men who go to sea, a captain and a doctor, and their relationship, their friendship together, two totally different people. But just the detail, again, the historical detail, the accuracy is just incredible. If you like, they're both very long series. So those are very fun. But I'm trying to just read probably more mysteries. And I've been reading a lot of them and I really enjoy it. I like the funnier, the better. I'm still looking for something a little wacky too. So
I was if you haven't tried the Eleanor Dash, I think you might like that one. Eleanor Dash.
no.
Every time I go on vacation, someone dies.
Okay, I've seen that. Okay.
It's a funny one. It's a very funny one. It's an author going on book tour, and she has a long-running cozy series, like a series.
Okay.
And it was her ex-husband, and she literally has to kill him off. And he is like scam.
What?
Yeah. It's a really
Oh,
funny, it's just like it great on audio. I think I found the audio much more enjoyable.
okay,
If it's a
perfect.
lesson, but if you go with it, that's a funny mystery. And there's
Everyone, everyone dies when I go on vacation.
every time I go on vacation, someone dies.
Okay, I'm gonna look. That sounds hilarious. Every
Yeah.
time I go on vacation, someone dies.
Yes. So it's a new series. There's 2 books out, but both books are excellent. First one
Okay.
is in Italy. The second one's in Catalina Island. Sort of
Oh,
make a movie out
fun.
of Cousin Mystery. And there's a hurricane. Not supposed to. And there's like a mystery note that someone's gonna die, and you're just like, what is happening?
I love it. God, oh my God. Okay, that is such a good recommendation. Thank you. Because I don't get a lot of books sent to me or things, and they're all so good. It's just every once in a while, I kind of float between. Sometimes I like nonfiction. I don't know. I'm always reading something. But
Yeah.
that sounds like a great recommendation because I do love when it's just out of left field.
Yeah, it's you're like, what kind of mood taste I'm here? And this is like my
Yes.
like a book recommender in some ways is to curate like what
Wonderful.
if you feel like you're looking in? Is there a book that actually because we want to find the right book for that right mood. And sometimes it's
Yes.
like you do a bunch of that's for you and you're not what you're feeling. And sometimes you just need something else. So yeah. So hopefully you get a
Oh, that's such a good recommendation.
yeah.
Thank
So
you.
Darcy, tell us where you can find you online.
I mean, just www.darcyhannah.com is my website. And I try to do more giveaways from my website now because of my Facebook issues, but I will still try to do. So I'm also at author Darci Hannah on Facebook, and I still will try to do some more giveaways there, and at author Darci Hannah on Instagram. Those are really the only places I haven't ventured out more. Sometimes I feel like I should, so I might try other things in the future, but
For now, thanks for listening to the What to Read Next. For more book lists, cozy reads, and library tips, visit the whattoreadnextblog.com. Your next great read might be waiting there.